Well, first of all, Coach, I mean, just thank you for your time. Saw that you were sick with with COVID on, first on social media, saw that, and then I understand it was really you had it seriously. Can you take us through a little bit what your experience was like and maybe kind of what you learned from it?
Yeah, when people talk about COVID and they talk about some of the things that can happen, the high fever and all of that, well, and again, it affects everybody differently. And I think with my age and all that, it really hit me and my husband really, really hard. And all of the symptoms, the high fever, I think I was running at one point 104. Yes. And a lot of days 102. And, all of the symptoms, whether it was the nausea, the biggest thing for me and my husband was we had no strength and we couldn't even raise our heads. So it was really, really tough. And I think we came out on the other side because we were quarantined together. And so we were trying to push each other like, we got to get up, we got to get up. And, the biggest thing was the weakness and the fatigue. And of course, we were in contact with our doctor every day. And he was sending different medicines, for breathing. My husband had the terrible, terrible cough. And he would send different medicines every day to see if it would help us. Our blood oxygen level was really, really low. And I tell you, Pete, I don't, there was a time that my husband and I thought we weren't going to make it through. And there was a time when my husband stopped breathing and I was just like really weak. And I was like, no, and, just kind of hitting him. And then he just went, and it was so scary. And I kept trying to be positive, obviously. And praying and all my friends and everybody was praying for us. And we were down almost a month and finally got to the other side. I say got to the other side. And we're still suffering from fatigue now and occasional headaches, but I'm just glad to be up and at 'em and at school and in practice. And so it was a very, very tricky thing. And my two sons had it as well. And my husband and I are quarantined, could hardly raise our head, and then the ambulance comes to my house, and it's for my youngest son because he couldn't breathe. Yeah, so I'm looking out the window like, what's going on? It was just awful. And
What a
they took him to the hospital, and he had problems breathing, and they got him right. And he came home the next day. But and both my sons, young, and you say, the youngsters, it'll be like the flu, but they had a lot of the symptoms we had. It didn't take them as long to recover, but they came through probably after about 5 days, and my husband and I took us almost a month.
Oh my gosh. Do you mind if I ask how old your sons are?
My oldest son is 30 and my youngest son is 23. And my daughter has pre-existing conditions, which makes her a high risk. And so all through the household, we all got it, and she didn't, thank God, because I don't think she would have, gotten through this. So, thank goodness her and our caregiver didn't get it. So she was able to take care of her while we all tried to recover.
And I know, in particular, because of your daughter, how careful you were to try and avoid getting this.
Yeah.
And I mean, you must have first, just when you first got it, must have been shocked because I know, how much care you had taken to avoid the coronavirus.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was my biggest, our family and my sons moved back home so we could all make sure that, we weren't going to bring it in to the house. My husband's retired, so my son took a job working at home so we wouldn't be in and out. I was the only one in and out. And so I tell you, Pete, I looked like a zombie leaving the house because, I had gloves, I had a special made mask, that silicone, so that I wouldn't get it, and very, very cautious with everything. And when I got it, we had gone to JMU to play, and when I came back, we tested on Monday, and Tuesday morning I felt sick, and they told me my test was positive, and I was the only one on the entire team. And I just couldn't believe it. Nobody on the team could believe it either, because I'm just so cautious. Like, we don't go to the grocery stores, we don't do any of that. Everything's ordered. And I was really nervous then, like, oh my goodness, I bought this home, and Dana is just, what I didn't want to do. So it was tough, it was stressful, but I thank God Dana didn't get it. And we could hear her, Pete, throughout the day when we're sick. Everybody's in their quarantine in their quarters. We could hear her and Rosa laughing and giggling and singing songs. So that was a good feeling.
That must have warmed your heart to hear that, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So then you come out of it, as you say, you get through to the other side and you get back to your team. Take me to that moment when you're able to return to them and be with them and coach them again.
It was awesome. I kept trying to build myself up so I could come in, and I actually surprised them. And so when I got there, I just saw, they all throughout, they were texting me and all, but just to see their faces and just to be in the gym and to be around them, I missed them so much. And, of course, I watched the games on TV, and they were doing exactly what I thought they would do. And it was just great. And so we had practices last week. I was in there Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And it was just, that gave me strength as well. Like, I was come home, and I would actually come home from practice and take a nap because I was fatigued. But I looked forward to the morning because I knew I was going into work and going in to see them again.
And it's such a bizarre season. You had a 20-day stretch for your team without games because of postponements.
Yeah.
And but this team is really good. It's very and it appears not just, I mean, obviously the record, it's 7-3. You've got that's great. But it seems the way that they are playing, the way they have come together, and the potential for this group under incredibly challenging circumstances it's remarkable.
Yeah, and they too, Pete, were so careful because they knew, and they stayed in for Thanksgiving, they stayed for Christmas because they wanted to play basketball, and they knew we had a good team, and they're all like sisters, really good culture, really good locker room, and they wanted to play, and they did everything they could, and what made me feel so bad was we got postponed because of me, and so they missed some games, but they kept their heads up. They practiced. My staff was awesome, and keeping it going. And, and they did well, and they're still looking really good. And then we got this postponement this past weekend. So we are anxious to play some basketball.
You came back from those 3 weeks away, your team, and then a sweep of Hofstra, and Kiana Jeter is unstoppable. She's averaging almost 25 points a game. Just, I mean, she is special, but maybe the missing ingredient that is a someone who's come back home, and Aaliyah Nelson, and
Yes.
McDonough, and from Cincinnati, and then back here. Her arrival is that kind of the glue that has kind of forged this group coming together?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, she has a command of the game, and she gets people in spots where she knows where they can catch and score. I mean, she's been a phenomenal leader on the floor as well. I think she loves being back home too. And we are definitely glad to have her back. She is such a team leader. She has that court vision that we've needed. And she's getting them the ball. I mean, top 10 in the country in assists.
Yeah, 7 a game. I saw that. She's, I mean, just really what you want out of a playmaker there, no doubt. And Coach, I don't want to keep you too long, because I know you're
No worries.
you're dealing with
I
this,
got
but
nothing to do.
you got nothing to do today. What I want to this as you go through this year and all the, I mean, just the great, so many challenges physically, mentally, all these things. Does this? I mean, obviously, it's a different season than any other you've gone through. Is there a bond though that is happening? Is there something, a positivity that you can take away from going through something like this, and that that you focus on?
Yeah, again, we're so close. And, they decided Thanksgiving. Now we've got some local kids that could have gone home for Thanksgiving, but they said, if my teammate can't go to Georgia or can't go to wherever, I'm going to stay here too. And that was a sign early on that this is a tight knit group And then again on Christmas, same thing. The local kids stayed here and everybody stayed on campus. Like, this is my sister, and if she can't do it, I'm not going to do it either. And they bonded, and it's just a really close team. And I think, you know, I've got to thank my staff for going out there and finding these kids with great, you know, characters and integrity, and want to win and want to work hard to win.
And after going through this too, though, were there any second thoughts, or like, man, we shouldn't have done this season? Have you gone through that battle as well, mentally?
Well, you know, I looked at them, and they wanted to play, and all in preseason, they were like, are we going to be able to play? Are we going to be able to play? And so I knew coming in, they really, really wanted to play. And there were times, and even now with so many postponements, and especially with me going through my illness, you know, you want to question, what are we doing here? And, you know, how much further we're going to be able to go. I am just totally afraid that one of my kids will get it when we play somebody else. And, you know, that's something that's in the back of my mind that just worries me all the time.
Well, Coach, you're a treasure for the Towson and Baltimore metro area. I'm so glad that you're healthy and back at it, and we wish you tremendous success the rest of the road. Best of luck to you.
Thank you so much, Peter. I appreciate you and everything you do for Towson.